Hello guys, so today with us is Dr. Dinesh. He is a director of clinical operations. Hi, how are you? Happy Christmas in advance. So I'm very happy to invite the guest, and whenever I talk to him, he is very energetic, very public speaker and a great inspiration. And whenever I talk to him, I have the motivation and a fire that I have to do something in the world. So such things I always feel whenever I talk to him. So let us start our podcast today with Dr. Dinesh. He is a Doctor of Pharmacy graduate and now is a Director of Clinical Operations in Sushena Healthcare. Now, you might get the question, how come a PharmD and what is he doing as a clinical operation director, and that to that position? So everything, whatever the questions, you are getting within seconds by reading the subtitle at the video. We will cover all of them. So just tune us with us and let's get started. So hi Dr. Dinesh. So please introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Hi Sushma, nice to meet you, and nice to have a conversation with you after a very long time. And you have said so much about me. I don't feel personally that I deserve that much. It's just your good
No.
heart that you see everything great and good in everyone. That's your great quality. And the thing is, I may not inspire anyone, but you inspire everyone that there's a life and there is so much to do in this life. And yes, you are an inspiration to me too. As of now, I am Director of Clinical Operations at Shushena Healthcare, Siddipet. And recently, I have also completed my specialty in medical affairs, board certified medical affairs specialization. And it's been 1 year. I graduated from Malaradi Pharmacy College, Maisamaguda. And
So
luckily, I
this
was
is
also the
2019,
colleague
right?
of Yeah, luckily I was also the a colleague of the great Shushma.
Yes guys, he's my classmate. So it's been 2019, now it's 2020, means one more than like 1.5 year almost it's been over. So carry
Yeah.
on. Okay, Dinesh, so tell us about what you are doing now presently, like where what are the functions you are executing there?
Okay. So firstly, I look out over the pharmacy department, and again clinical pharmacist, and also the teaching, continuous medication, continuous medical education for all those pharmacists, DMOs, and other staff. And I might also, as I experience at Summit Medical Consultants, I also look out for telemedicine projects, which we are conducting now with some companies in the US, in the States. So I also train for the telemedicine, and uh, I particularly go for interventions in the cardiology, because my plan is to do board certified cardiology specialization by 2020. And I also look out for dialysis patients too. Uh, my part in the hospital contains more administration than any other thing.
Okay, so you are doing administration part of both like selection procedure as well as training, and along with that you are,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, for clinical pharmacist as well. So
yes.
okay, so this organization Sushant Healthcare, where is it?
It's Shushena, and it's in Siddipet actually.
Siddipet
Uh,
in. Oh,
Siddipet. It's
okay.
a
So you said you are aspiring for board certified medical specialization in cardiology. So, but
yeah,
when as a PharmD students, whenever we hear such things, we are like, how is it possible? Like you are staying in India, right?
yeah.
So, being in India, and how can we? Is there eligibility criteria like that? for this. Please tell us about what is actually this board certification of medical specialization in what is it and what are the various types of it. Oh, carry on.
Okay. The first thing is board certification program is given by the US government or United States, and moreover around 12 to 13 specialties which contains pharmacotherapy, cardiology, radiology, and oncology, and infectious disease, many others. So any PharmD graduate interested, especially the clinical pharmacists who are working as a pharmacist in the hospital side or in the clinical department, and who are really interested to go further in particular specialty, whether it's cardiology or radiology or oncology or anything, then they can apply for this. Generally, the eligibility criteria is PharmD graduate with a PCI license in the country, and
For
the
Indian
most
PharmD
important,
students.
yeah, for Indian PharmD students, it's PCI, and uh, for each and every specialty, there are different, term period for experience. For example, cardiology, if someone want to do a BCCS, they have to, work in the cardiology department for around 4 years, and they should have a experience of 4 years, and then only they are eligible to write a cardiology specialty exam. Uh, Staying in India, right here, and the most important part is uh, at least you have to complete 50%, and your experience term will be counted from the day you get your PCI license, not your PharmD degree.
Okay, okay, okay. That
So
is a
as
very
soon as
important
we
point.
graduate PharmD, yeah. So as soon as we graduate, uh, the most important part we should look out is for PCI registration as soon as we can. Otherwise, the experience before the license is just null. It's nothing.
Okay, okay, Dinesh. Now, next question is like now you have discussed with us like what you are doing now. So, I
Yeah.
want to explore like after PharmD or during PharmD, what are the things you did? Like after PharmD, what you did that led you to today what you are doing now. So please take us through your own
Okay.
path
Uh,
so that and what are the things that helped you to grow into this profession, and as we all know as a PharmD person doing clinical pharmacy activities, certain struggles are there, but how and what are the things you started? Just go take us from starting onwards.
okay. The basic thing is uh, I was not basically interested in doing any jobs from my college life, and I was more interested in a business side as I am a Marwadi. But things reversed down in the final year, fifth year of my family, and then I moved into Yashoda for the internship under Dr. P. Vishnu Rao, infectious disease consultant. He's a great doctor of ID, and he's currently also one of the board member for the Telangana government COVID board. And uh, I was taken as an intern over there in Yashoda. Uh, and I got a great opportunity to work with Dr. Vishnu and also Dr. Saidulu at the same time. So basically, we started antimicrobial stewardship in Yashoda Secunderabad. They, I was basically into business from the very start, but in the fifth year of my farm, some things went up and after one of my colleague, one of our classmate, she went to Yashoda through someone for internship, and one of our senior from other college, Dr. Khaja Sharafuddin, who is also a neighbor to me. I mean, just a half kilometer away from my house. Uh, I asked him and I requested him that if he can get me into the same uh, department as the other colleague was, and luckily he helped me out, and we were hired. But it was not a paid internship; it was just a internship. And me and her, with Dr. Saidulu, we were hired under Dr. P. Vishnu Rao, who is an infectious disease consultant and a very great doctor I've ever met, to be frank. Uh, we started antimicrobial stewardship. Generally, antimicrobial stewardship is the program which decreases the use of antibiotics, not all the antibiotics, but unnecessary antibiotics. But in the cases where the patient doesn't require an antibiotic intervention, we avoid that at the very early stage. This also has bacterial resistance going in the world. It helps to delay that antimicrobial stewardship, decreases the use of this antibiotics, in patients who doesn't require actually. Then we can manage it to, basic cephalosporins or something else like that. So it's all about protecting the bacteria too, and also protecting the patient at the same time, and also decreasing the cost effectiveness.
So basically, as we all know, like we are doing in founding internship. Like
I worked for AMS.
Obviously we will be checking about antibiotic resistance prevention. So this stewardship program, it is available like in Yashoda only, this program?
No, it's also available in Apollo, and many of the hospitals in the country might don't know. Probably, hospitals Barrett County, where they have quality assurance department working very effectively, as antimicrobial resistance prevention comes in quality assurance. So not many of the hospitals have, but luckily we had, and even Dr. P. Vishnu Rao, who was also one of the consultant in infectious disease department in the city. I mean, there are very few ID specialists, and he also worked in the States, United States. So he know about this antimicrobial stewardship. And for a bit of information, you can also do, SIDP course, which is particularly for AMS program. It's antimicrobial stewardship actually, but SIDP, Society of Infectious Disease department. It's a complete different society over in the States, United States, and
so you went into the Yashoda.
They certify you with an SIDP certificate. Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, please. I didn't get you. What they certify?
SIDP certification, that you are, you have been completed AMS program successfully in your hospital, and that will to program to continue that program in any other hospital in the country, or in globally certification. It's a global certification.
Okay. So so you entered into Yashoda like that. So afterwards, then along with that, what you did? Like, okay, got it. You were going for a. Okay, just continue.
Yeah. So around last year April time, I had one of my reference. He referred me to Yashoda Corporate Office, and there I was hired for Summit Medical Consultants, which also is a group of Yashoda hospitals, and it's actually a company in the United States, not in the country. And I was interviewed by Dr. Samir Kumar Gunukula, now who is also my boss and the founder and medical director of Sushena Healthcare. There he interviewed me, and he selected me as a clinical pharmacist to work in the United States. But At the start, we were asked to work from the office, on the as a desk job. It was more of a desk job, but we were promised to, that we will be moved for bedside practice in the states.
So you
And
were like you did well in Yashoda. So while you were being intern, then the
yeah,
doctor referred
yeah,
you, selected you, so that the other doctor can check you, and if they want, they can take you like that, right? Okay.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay. So, I'm not getting the point. Like you are saying, US company, US, it is related to healthcare system of the US, and you are saying it is
Yeah,
there here. So, please tell us
yeah.
what is everything. There is something missing in between. I'm not getting it.
So basically, I will give you a brief introduction about that company. It's Summit Medical Consultants in the state of Colorado. So what they do is they have a group of around 40 to 50 doctors, which also consist of nurse practitioners and clinical pharmacists. And luckily, myself and Dr. Sedulu, we were only the two clinical pharmacists in their team. And as per the policy, supposed to work with nurse practitioners for a bedside consultation, but we were asked to work uh, from the office uh, at the beginning so that we can get a perfect clinical training over there, and also other skills we can learn to move on to states. And the company generally consists of medical coding team and transcription team, and also the billing team. And this was the first clinical pharmacist team over there, myself and Dr. Sedulu. And our uh, head of the department was Dr. Samir Kumar Gunkula, who was also at the time working as the chief performance officer for Summit Medical Consultants. By the way, I'll give you a brief introduction. Dr. Samir Kumar Gunkula is, MD internal medicine from the States itself, and he was, recently moved in the country, India, around 2018. So we were hired under him, and our work was, you know, to manage patients, not bedside, but through softwares. There are particular softwares, and this group of doctors of Summit Medical Consultants, they visits nursing facilities, which are known as LTC facilities or SNF facilities. LTC is generally long-term care facilities, and SNF is skilled nursing facilities. Over the states, all over the states, the patient, when he gets discharged from the hospital, he doesn't directly move into the house, I mean his house or her house. They shift the patient into nursing facility, and as they have some independent culture other than the Indian culture. Many of the old people who are above 50 or 55, they stay in the nursing facilities for over a long time, and some people, end up their life in the nursing facility. As many of them have in the US population, each and every person, as I have reported, they had dementia and other psychological disorders too. So they required a continuous nursing support, and
Yes,
that's the
yes.
reason they established this LTC and SNF facilities over there. So our job was, to look out in the softwares. They used to update patients' blood sugars, patients' blood pressure levels, pulse rate, and patient lab reports and other orders, generally prescription orders, and also the present disease condition. The day the doctor used to visit to the patient, they have to, record the complete conversation between them and the patient, and what they observed about each and every diseases, and they have to update it in the software. And we used to read out it. It was almost all electronic case sheet, e-case sheet, you can say. So, but the thing is, everything was organized. I mean, you have orders separately, and lab orders separately, and other vitals separately, and dietitian orders separately, and also special protocols. So I generally worked for heart failure patients and diabetic patients, and psychological uh, disease disorders patients. Lot of things. I used to monitor, in particular patients, and whether the protocol has been raised or not. The general protocol was, below 70, they have, or about 200, or above 400 blood sugar, they have to call the MD, and other insulin dosing based on the weight, patient weight, and if the patient's blood sugars are above 200 for the continuous 3 days, they have to increase the dose of insulin by 2 units, and managing of different types of insulin, short acting insulins and long acting insulins, and cut down the unnecessary medications going on, plus uh, little interventions like if the patient is on antibiotic, they have to prescribe lactobacillus, so that patient doesn't develop C. diff, as
So,
C. diff is a very common thing in US patients. Again, each and every patient used to have dementia and depression or any other psychological disorder, so they were on many antipsychotics. Few of the antipsychotics are, uh, they are contraindicated in few conditions like heart failure. So we have to intervene that, and we have to write an email to the patient's consulting doctor, or we have to directly have a call with the patient's nurse to discontinue the medication or the order, or changing of the dose. And again, we have to monitor for anticoagulants. There were many new oral anticoagulants we don't use in India, as NOAC drugs are costly, and they are not in India much more, like apixaban, Evaraxaban. Moreover, if the patient was on warfarin, we have to monitor for INR. So it was a lot of stuff continuously going on, cut down medications, patient patients better healthcare. That was the only goal.
okay, so
So it
you
was,
mean to say like what there the team in the states was like nurses and other people were there who are taking care of the patient, and the data was uploaded in the
yeah,
software time to time,
yeah,
and you guys
yeah,
used to check those parameters and then decide the treatment plan and whatever the advice is,
yeah,
and then you have to send them.
yeah.
Okay,
For example,
so
Sushma,
this is called
if
telemarketing,
yeah, telemedicine.
telemedicine.
I will say you very simple way. For an example, let's say if a patient has been admitted, and he or she was admitted yesterday, and today we are checking over here, as the time, time zone is different for them and us.
Yes,
So today morning I'm checking it out, and first thing I have to do is medical reconciliation. Medical reconciliation or medication reconciliation includes, uh, all the discharge medications from the hospital. I have to look out whether they are in the correct doses, and also uh, the indication of the drug should be correct. If, for example, if the patient is having, DVT, and uh, a recent history of DVT, then he or she should be on, anticoagulant
anticoagulants.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So, or let's say if the patient is having, digoxin, then he should have a history of atrial fibrillation or atrial flutter. So either the indication should match with the drug, or the drug should match with the indication.
Yes, yes.
So that's the main thing we used to do. That's called medical reconciliation.
Okay, okay.
And after medical reconciliation, we have to do the daily monitoring, especially for the first 7 days. We have to look out for any adverse reactions or adverse effects of the drugs which were recently prescribed to that particular patients, and whether the orders were given. For example, let's say the patient is having CHF and CKD also, then they have to put an order that the patient need an CBP or BMP, generally renal function test, or renal function test every week for the first 2 months, and after that every month continuously, because CHF patients, they are at high risk
High
of
risk of kidney failure. Yeah.
yeah, kidney failures and electrolyte imbalances.
Yes.
So we have to monitor that. If a doctor doesn't put in,
Check.
write an order,
Yeah.
then we have to mail him, or we can directly speak to him.
Okay.
After that, even in the few cases, uh, they need holding parameters. We call it as holding criteria. For example, let's say the patient is on beta blocker, metoprolol or succinate, for example, and for example, he's on 75 mg or 25 mg, whatever, and the patient is having CHF, then there should be an order that if the patient is having heart rate below 60 or 70, the drug should put on hold. So that's what holding criteria or holding parameter is. Even the same goes for anti-diabetic medications like metformin or insulin. If the patient get blood sugars below 70, they have to hold, or especially in the patients who are aged patients, we can take up to 130 or 140. Blood sugars are normal for them, and before 140, they have to keep holding parameters. So as I said, if they are on antibiotics, so a protocol should be raised for having a lactobacillus medication, probiotics.
Okay.
So
So
this
Dinesh,
all things we used to do.
okay, we all
Yeah,
got an idea that you are actually doing what a PharmD person has to do after PharmD.
yeah.
You are actually doing that.
That's the main thing. I continued to work over there
Okay.
because my work was valued, and the second thing is, uh, it was kind of feeling that I haven't wasted my 6 years of studying PharmD of my time, and end of the day I was having a job of clinical pharmacist, that too in the States. That was the most important thing.
And there's
uh,
such an
and to be frank,
opportunity, yeah, such an opportunity for everyone. It doesn't come, but the work skills you have, skill sets which you have shown to the physician, the main person of Yashoda, that clicked him that he might be the person who his friend doctor must be searching. So he referred you, and then from actually being an intern, you directly became like you are actually doing the work, like yeah,
yeah, so
yeah, so
I
very
will not
nice.
praise myself, but the thing is, my work was a bit of speed. I used to, work speed. We also had a target of chronic care management. Around 10 patients we have to do in a day for CCM. Other than this, all casual work, we have to do 10 cases, 10 CCM patients, chronic care management, which includes, after the patient get discharged or in the facility, every month we have to review all the past days history of that particular month, and all the orders, and we have to talk the patients directly, and also the consulting nurse and the physician about the patient's present condition, and we have to update it. So around in 30 minutes I used to complete this CCM thing, and that was the reason they used to like me a lot. Well, the work, uh, let me say that they used to pay me a very decent salary, but salary was never a matter to me. All I ever wanted, to work as a uh, PharmD graduate. Uh, I mean, I haven't, spent my 6 years, crucial 6 years, for something that doesn't belong to my subject. And that was the most important thing. Dr. Samir, a great doctor, Dr. P. Vishnu Rao, he valued us a lot. He protected from so many things.
And he has been in US, and there he has known the healthcare system and all, so
Yeah,
automatically
yeah,
that thing will come, that in India family people are there, then why not make it shine and use the resources,
yeah,
that thing will come,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, then after, working in Summit Medical Consultants for, more than a year, last October, I resigned, and from November I joined Shushena Healthcare. But before that, let me say one more important part. In around February, I joined board certified medical affairs specialization in ACMA. So ACMA provides board certified medical affairs specialization. It's completely related to medical affairs in the pharma industry. And as I said, I was always interested towards business side or administrative side. So it was a great opportunity for me, and I applied for that specialization, and luckily I got selected. I did my specialization for around 6 to 7 months, and but luckily I also passed uh, in distinction. Around 200 questions I answered, and even ACMA congratulated me on their social websites like LinkedIn and all. It was a great honor. And after my specialization, I was looking for uh, opportunities in the industry side. Moreover, related to medical affairs director or something, medical science liaison or something like that. And I got an offer from Johnson and Johnson in July in Mumbai, and I I went. I realized that people, they were not kind of loyal to the work, and after 15 days, I came back to Hyderabad, leaving that job in the very starting thing, and Dr. Samir, who used to work in some he resigned long back then he started his own international company, Shushena Healthcare. And he called me one day and he asked me that, uh, hey, if you can come over here. And let me say that it was him. I joined Summit because of him. And I was working there because, uh, in India, there are people who play, very bad politics or cheap politics in this office part. But he was the guy who always protected me. He was the person who always protected me from all this cheap politics and look out for me, as elder brother, as a friend, always. He's an MD internal medicine. He's a senior, so much senior, super senior to me. But he never had an ego that I'm somewhere junior to him, and he valued me. And as he thought that I was useful in administration part, since he found me, administratively skillful. So he asked me to come over here, and immediately I resigned over there and joined Shushena Healthcare. And now I'm working as, director of clinical operations over here.
Okay, okay. So that is the path, like from PharmD intern to you have become director. Okay, because
Yeah,
another thing. Okay, so as you have worked with the doctor, so the doctor then he has his own organization, his own company, like a hospital,
yeah,
and in that you guys started as like a, not, we should not do like all other hospitals as they are in India.
yeah. So
Please
let me,
tell us about
this is
your
the
yeah, uniqueness of
this
that.
Yeah, this will be the best part, of this conversation, of this video call today. Shushena Healthcare is a kind of unique healthcare system. It's a starting. It's a startup recently. So 60 bedded hospital. The main point is uh, Dr. Samir very deeply believes that a patient healthcare treatment, this treatment plan is not an individual decision of a physician, but it's a combined decision of a team which includes clinical pharmacist and nursing staff. And that's the reason we have completely, a separate department known as clinical pharmacist department in the hospital, and we are hiring clinical pharmacists uh, for clinical pharmacist job, and most important thing with a very valuable position, and also value to their work, and also a very decent salary. So we thought that it's our uh, you know chance, it's our opportunity to give the honor to all the PharmD, all the clinical pharmacists, what they deserve actually, especially in India. So we have started this now. My job also includes, as I said, continuous medical education. So every week we have presentations over here for all the medical related staff, nursing staff, clinical pharmacist, and every week myself or Dr. Samir will present, and sometimes we even ask other staff members to present. And every month we conduct a, just a random MCQ test uh, about the recent presentation, that they are learning or not, just to look out that they are attentive in the class, attentive in the presentation. And also our goal is individual development. So we have asked each and every staff, nursing staff, and even clinical pharmacist, and also DMOs, that they should do a paper publication each and every year on their own, and we are ready to support them in each and every way. So it is also the part of the program.
Oh,
And to be frank, it's my really great honor to work with Dr. Samir, where he value family people a lot. And uh, I'm looking out that the family people who know to me, uh, I can help them as their brother. So it's a great opportunity.
okay. So, okay, Dinesh. So, okay. So that means that you are doing the interviews of family students as well.
Yeah, I'm also interviewing PharmD people, and I'm also interviewing nursing staff, and other paramedical staff. Uh, uh, we are also trying to hire a clinical pharmacist, or around a pair of clinical pharmacists for telemedicine services for the United States. So, which I will be looking out directly.
So
So
because
that's the
there
goal as of now.
already there is a connection, so definitely then you can have a balance like here and there.
Yeah, Shishma. We are also, our target for the next 2 years, to expand it completely, the telemedicine process, especially, and maybe uh, we will be, by God grace, soon we will be working directly in the US, and let's see. We are looking forward to it.
Okay, okay, Dinesh. So you have told us now that okay, you are doing apart from administration, you guys are training as well as you are
Yeah,
picking up PharmD students and giving a
yeah,
ecosystem to develop their skills and grow. I can see there is a growth here. I can see now
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
if I see if I ask anyone who is doing as a clinical pharmacist, so what
Okay.
is your like where you will stand after 5 years or 3 years? If I ask such questions, they themselves don't know, and it is a very natural thing. Not it is because it's in a budding stage, but now when you are
Yeah.
talking, I can see where the things are going. Like when you are having a connections with the states here faculty and all, there certain possibilities of new possibilities are arising.
Yeah, Shushma, our goal, as I said, Dr. Samir is from US internal medicine, and he has worked around more than 12 years. So, and myself, I have been working for the States around 1 year, and to be frank, I don't know even, many brands, many Indian, brand names of, all the drugs, but I know brand names which are, going in in the States, as I've worked for them. So myself and Samir sir, we both know what's the treatment standard is, what the correct treatment standard is for the patient, apart from having a greed for money, or for more customer relations. Our our goal is to provide better treatment plan for each and every patient, and that's the reason we started this on our own. Dr. Samir started actually, and he hired me luckily, and uh, and now I am planning to expand it more, as we are also, you know, we are also trying to move in the pharma industry in the next year. So there will be a lot of clinical pharmacist openings as I see, and I want to do something really for family people, and that might help.
Yes, definitely. So, by listening to your talk, I am feeling getting a doubt that do you want to go to US, or do you have any future plans? What are your future plans like that?
No, Shushma, the first thing, actually, a few people call it dumb, but the thing is, I personally believe that if their country was, that successful, uh, they don't have poor people. They wouldn't have poor people in their own country if their country was that successful. So it's just the currency magic. It's the currency fog that, rotates over there and here. That's the only thing. Apart from that,
Yes,
there's nothing,
true, true.
related to, like, you can't say that you have a great opportunity in the US better than India. So I don't think so that it's just the currency. As I said, it's just the currency magic. Other than that, it's nothing. It's just an illusion. So I never wished to go USA. I worked in Summit Medical Consultants. They asked me to move to USA, and I was never interested in moving out of the country. Here, uh, I tried for better opportunities, and see, today I got an opportunity as a medical, clinical operations director, and maybe in the coming years too, I will be working here in the India. Uh, but our company will be, uh, expanding to the states for sure. That's the sure thing. We have already started our expansion in the states, and by coming 5 years, we'll be great at telemedicine over there.
Okay, so is there any objective here in India for expansion? Like now, you guys as an Indian, you are taking the resources of PharmD students, right? So,
Yeah,
what is the growth here at the base level? You guys are thinking of.
basic uh, basic level. As I said that, we want to raise the healthcare standard in the country. A really great standard to be, let's take the fact that the US is, the leading country in the world, and that's because the states have, high standards in each and everything. They are the leading people in each and every field, whether it's engineering, whether it's medical field, or any other thing. They are the leading people because they follow standard treatment, standard care, standard procedure. Each and everything is
Individualized
standard over there.
things are there, right?
So uh, yeah, so that's the same thing we want to do in the country. We want to raise that bar, and have a better treatment for the patient. Completely, not an individual decision of a physician. If the patient comes with a CHF, and the patient, having echo report or ECG, you just prescribe beta blockers. They do some combinations, and you just move on. But that's where we want to, cut things, and we want to review, I mean, what's the ejection
Follow-ups,
fraction of the
yeah.
patients. Yeah, so whether it's systolic or diastolic heart failure, and then we have to, follow the guideline, the first line treatment, where we use ACEs or ARBs and beta blockers. And if the patient is having diastolic, we also, add up diuretics. So that's what the general treatment guideline is. So let me say that we don't want the treatment guidelines just to be in the books, as a theory part, but also as a practical part. So we want to raise the standard in the country. So that's our main goal.
Okay, so Dinesh, we got an idea that okay, so there is certain company or an organization or a hospital, whatever we can
Okay.
say, that is dealing with. It's like a team who is
Yeah.
taking the patient's care who is in the US by telemedicine. Along with that, they are doing healthcare, providing the healthcare to the outskirts in the Siddipet for 60-bedded
Yeah,
hospital as a trial purpose. I mean, as a
yeah,
like you can pilot project type.
yeah,
So, okay, we got an idea. So this is the new thing. Like in US, there is an individualized care. As you said, there are many aged people who, and they do not live like us. The culture is different. They don't live with their
yeah,
families, so they don't have
yeah,
anyone to support them. So they need a
yeah,
healthcare personnel for them to be
yeah,
taking care. So there, you
yes,
guys are helping them.
yeah.
Okay, so
So yeah, we are,
that is the
yeah,
thing I wanted to
definitely.
clear for the audience. And see, guys, whoever is a family person who is interested to get exposure, that personal can interact with the Dr. Dinesh, and I'll keep the contact thing information in the description box below. Anytime you can contact him if any doubts are there, or if you want any suggestions as well. Like he have given us certain knowledge about, there is certain thing called board certification courses available, and the eligibility doesn't require any special thing. Just if it is a specialization for departments like cardiology, radiology, for them you have to have 2 years of experience like that. And for that you can search for the experience by taking help of Dr. Dinesh as well. And for medical affairs, there is no need of such experience. Directly family person can do. Okay, yeah, I got another question, Dinesh. Because you have done the course
Yeah.
of medical affairs, please make us aware
Okay.
of what is medical affairs actually.
So, medical affairs lookouts for, completely drug development process through the drug when it reaches to market. All the complete process, which includes, drug development process, which includes around discovering 2000 to 3000 molecules, and then again coming down to 300, and again coming down to 5, and then having preclinical trials on animals, and then after selecting 2 or 3 molecules, we are going to move on to phase 1 clinical trials and all. And again, after the clinical trials, we are also have this regulatory affairs, and other than that, we have to plan for post market surveillance and also the marketing part of the drug. So it's completely related to drug development, and also includes HEOR, which it's a very budding, it's in very budding stage, but it's the future, as I think, particularly health economics outcome research, which includes different types of calculations, and calculations of the service provided, uh, and also the resources, both at the same time. So it's more kind of related to pharma industry, but also helpful in the hospitals part, where you can have HEOR calculations over there. And again, you can have communication and presenting skills over there. The medical affairs specialization, BCMS, had around 20 modules, which also included medical device industry and pharma industry, and clinical trials, then clinical design, uh, HEOR, and presentation skills, and regulatory affairs. Uh, Again, you have medical science relation department separately. So it includes completely. It's almost all medical director in the industry or in the hospital side. So I was always interested in administration, and that's the reason I moved on to medical affairs specialization before doing cardiology.
So you are a mix of a professional skilled person, a business minded person, public speaker, right? A full package. Okay, okay.
Uh,
So okay, last two questions, and that is, what is your biggest learnings
yeah.
from your biggest failures?
Well, my biggest failure. Uh, my biggest failure was, uh, I mean, I think that everything is just a part of life, and life is bigger than what you imagine, and everything has its own importance at particular time, and it loses its importance at the particular time in the future. So All I have learned that a person should never stop. He should never stop no matter what happens. He should be always moving on. Uh,
Because
Failures,
that stage
yeah,
comes for
fail,
families people, especially in the final years, like
yeah,
that question mark, big question mark.
yeah. So failure is the part of life. The main thing, all I want to say is, first you should know what you want to do. That's the most important thing. If you know what you want to do, you will do it for sure. But if you don't know what you want to do, or you don't have an idea what to do, you will be, stuck in the middle of nowhere.
Yes,
You
true.
will be, all confused,
Yeah.
what to do or what not to do. So the first thing I will say that have a goal, and then you can have a plan. So the first most important thing is have a goal, have a clear goal. Then we can plan about it, and uh, as everyone, each and every motivational speaker will say that never give up. That's what I'm saying. It's, everything is just a part of life.
Yeah.
End of the day.
Yes, yes. Okay. Okay, Dinesh. So, any last thing, takeaway points you want to tell to our viewers?
As I said, last point, I've already said that have a goal, stick to it, and just
Everyone
go
have,
for it.
yeah,
Yeah. Most important thing is, you know, as I said, HEOR, Health Economics Outcome Research. What that particular thing has taught me. Uh, Before you do anything, I mean, few people, want to go to the moon. I mean, that's a big thing, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make a single sense. I mean, what you will do after going to the moon, and if you are, uh, spending millions of rupees just to go there, and you know end of the day you found there dust, nothing but nothing else. So uh, it doesn't worth it. So first have a goal, then find out that whether you know it is worthful or not. So that's the thing. Don't be a stubborn. Don't stick to something particularly. Just think that whether it's helpful to you, moreover helpful to someone, or a lot of people. And if it's really helpful, then move on. Please go with it. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Thank you, Dinesh, for your time and spending. And another thing, guys, I want to say is see, everyone has their own destiny. You give your 100%, then the things will go on as they are. We should not be discouraged or
Yeah.
think that I thought something and have been here. We don't know what will happen next. So I was from this
Mm.
platform, from the story of Dr. Dinesh. I wanted to reach out to you guys, like see, if you see someone, like I also want to become like them, and you cannot do that because everyone have their own things, but you have your own uniqueness. You can do what you only know, or you might even not know. The circumstances will make such things for you. So that is the thing. His story is like that, and it's very encouraging how, like, he definitely, all pharmacy students will have that fear, like what will happen for my future, what will be things going, but that fear, you should not make it dominant over your activities. It should not affect your at least trying the things out. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, Dinesh, so very very nice interaction was there. And guys, if you like this content, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon, and if anything more you want to ask me or make a video, please put in the comment box below and we will contact you immediately. Okay, then see you. Bye bye. Bye, Dinesh.